What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing really well. New video. In this video I want to cover the most common mistakes or the biggest mistakes I see producers make when working with compression. It's a super wide topic, of course. There are so many boxes to tick when talking about compression, but I really think that these three are the three most common mistakes that I see happening. And the first one is using compression without a reason. Recognize this because I also used to do this, using compression not knowing whether it needs compression or not, but just you just want to slam a compressor on it. And I did that so many times, and I overcompressed so many mixes like that. Yeah, you need to find a reason. There needs to be a reason to use a compressor, because if you don't, you might unconsciously start overcompressing a lot of things, and that can really start to cloud and to fuzz your whole production for no reason. So, for example, this is a track that I produced last week. I finished it and I've sent it to some labels, but let's quickly listen to this part over here, to this part here. And let's just quickly recap whether somewhere we need some compression or not. Now, I think I do hear one spot where we could use a tiny bit of compression, and it's on the kick. And not because I think the kick has a dynamic range which is too big, but actually sort of the opposite. I think that the kick could have a little bit more punch. So I'll just go for a basic stock compressor from Logic, also so that you guys can see this. This track is not mixed, by the way, it's only the production. So let's listen to the kick. Sorry, without the compressor. And it's a really cool sounding kick, but once it's in the production, I think it could have just a little bit more presence, once that punch will go through a bit more. So let's go for a pretty basic ratio. Let's go for 4:1. Maybe we can do a 5:1 just because screw it. And I am definitely going to slower the attack a bit because I really want that transient to get through. And I'm gonna take the auto release off, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna leave the release for how it is now, and then I'll have a listen to see what I can improve on it if needed. Most of the time it's not needed. So let's start lowering the threshold, and actually let's not do this soloed, but in the track. And I'm just looking for somewhere between 3 and 6 dB of gain reduction. Do you hear the difference? So listen well to the first hit of the kick, that high frequency punch. I think the attack could be... Let's get a bit more compression. And let's bounce this quickly. Let's just bounce this one and let's just call it kick comp, and you will see that the audio file will probably be a bit different. Oh, like this. You can see this first. You see this peak, this little peak is louder on the one with the compressor than it is on the one without the compressor. Now this is a perfect example of knowing I need a compressor on this one. I need there is a purpose for this compressor. If you're using a compressor and you're not sure whether you're doing the right thing or whether the compressor is the right one or whether it's kind of needed, don't use it. Take it off. You don't need it. You will know when you need a compressor because you'll know you need a compressor. That's how simple it is. Now, also just a side note for those who are starting out with music production, or maybe you've been producing for a few years and you're not really sure yet still how to use a compressor, don't be bummed out. I've been producing for, I think, over 10 years. I kind of lose count of it, but I only started really understanding how to use a compressor like in practical terms, not in theoretical terms, in practical terms, probably 2 years ago. So if you're in it since 4 or 5 years, don't be bummed out at all. Most of the audio engineers I know, they say like after 8 or 9 years using compressors, I really start to understand how they work. And sometimes even later. I've also seen videos from Andrew Sheps where he said only after 15 years of working with compressors, I really started understanding what they do. So hang in there, you'll get there. Number 2, overcompressing. Overcompressing is a real thing, and this I see this happening very often when people don't know how to use a compressor and they use a compressor without a purpose. So these two are very much interlinked. It's very easy to start overcompressing things, and once things start to be overcompressed, you start to kill your track. Let's again take the kick for example. Let's say I'm not really sure what I'm doing, and I think I need a compressor on the kick. I don't know, to get a bit more punch, or I'm not really sure what to do with the kick, and I just want a compressor on it, and I'm gonna start compressing the kick. Let's say I do something like this, and let's say I know that a slower attack is good. So let's say I will take a slower attack and with a faster release. And let's say that this is the setting that I choose to do. Let's listen to it. And let's also bounce it. Let's first take a look at the audio file. Now, it doesn't look that bad. But what you see is I am completely killing the sustain of this kick. So if we start comparing these two now, it might have more punch, but there is no body left. And you need to take into consideration that your track still needs to get mixed. Your track still needs to get mastered. And in the mastering stage, it's gonna get compressed to shizzles anyway. Especially nowadays, because we love loud music and tracks to be loud. So your kick is gonna be completely compressed. So overcompressing is a real thing. So if you're not sure if something needs compression, don't overcompress it. Also, another thing, for example, using compression on high ratio, which can be very, very handy. Let's take this. I know this vocal has a little peak in it. So let's go to this vocal over here. And let's quickly listen to it. I'll take the limiter off. Do you hear that desire, that I has a peak? That's the loudest part of the vocal. Now let's say that in the mix it's too loud. It actually is. That's probably also why I put the limiter there. But now what's happening basically, now I'm coming into a real good example of an issue where I'm gonna need some compression, because that desire is too loud. I am kind of leveling this audio file, this audio track on the loudest peak. But because I'm doing that, that part is too soft. And now I'm gonna balance this track on the level of this part. Now I hear the pretty well, but the IR is too loud. So now, what would be very helpful is if I could, let's take the classic comp again. Now, it would be very helpful to have a compressor with a pretty high ratio. So let's go for 8:1, a very commonly used ratio on vocals. And I'm gonna leave the attack how it is. Most of the time, I find that leaving the compressor settings quite neutral on vocals works really well. And I am going to lower the compressor so that it will only take that loudest peak. Oh, shit. It's starting to work. This is what we're looking for. 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction. Let's... Do you hear how much better that is? And I'm not over compressing anything. I'm only having like 3 or 4 dB of gain reduction. And look, if we look over here, we can see you see it jumps from approximately 5 to approximately 6 dB minus 12 up to minus 6 approximately. You see, it stops here and then it jumps. So having 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction is leaving us with approximately 2 to 3 dB of dynamic range, which is perfect because we also don't want to kill it. Because if we're gonna kill it, the whole energy of that vocal is just gonna be... There's gonna be no expressiveness in it. I mean, it can work in a different context. If I put it a bit louder. But now the vocal is moving way more to the back of the track, and it's not something that I want. And now obviously it's too loud. So having that 2 or 3 dB of gain reduction is more than enough. So yeah, that's working with high ratios without overcompressing something. And the third topic of this is using compression instead of volume balancing. Volume balancing always goes before compression, unless if you know, obviously everything that I'm saying is just fugazi. I mean, everything that I say you can pick up and put in the trash and do exactly the opposite and still get out with a pretty decent mix. You know, it's all creative stuff over here, but I mean, I'm just giving you some guidelines on how to learn to use this. But volume balancing, really try to prioritize volume balancing on compression, unless if it's something more on the creative side. For example, with the kick, what we did, getting more punch out of the kick. I mean, that's going to be quite hard with volume balancing. I could split this kick into a few, you know, I could split this kick like this and then give this more level, and then give this part less level. You know, this is also volume balancing, and like this, I'm also sort of getting more punch out of it. But I mean, a compressor is just so much easier. But when it comes down to the full mix, prioritize volume balancing, because once you're gonna find the balance that works really well for your track, you'll find out that you probably don't need a lot of compression anyways, especially if you have the right mastering chain with the right maybe compressor or limiter on it, and if you realize that your track is also gonna be compressed still in the master, you know, having a mix with like 7 or 8 dB of gain reduction, it's quite a lot, but dynamic range, 7 or 8 dB of dynamic range, but whether you take it out in the mix or in the master, it makes a difference, but it's not a huge difference. You can always squash it in the master. So make sure that your balancing is right before doing any of what we just talked about. And especially when working with groups. Same for the drums. I mean, also the drums are mostly samples. And you can look at them. They are so consistent already in how they sound that the chances of me putting a compressor on this after I find the right balance is super small, because especially with these type of drums, these drum samples are already so compressed, probably by the maker of the sample, because they come out of sample packs, you know, or maybe maybe I took some drum samples out of a track or whatever, and that track has been compressed so many times. So do I actually need some compression without actually starting to kill that drum groove? Let's just take like the most common drum compressor there is, the 76. Let's go for a little bit slow attack, faster release to get a bit of punch out of this group. I don't need it's all I'm approximately on 4 dB of gain reduction, and I already feel that it might kill my drum groove. Also because the full production is already going to a mastering unit which has some gain reduction on it already. I'm gonna mix it, it's gonna get mastered. I don't necessarily need compression on here. I would rather go for nothing, or maybe some reverb, or maybe some distortion to get them working together. So there you go, guys. Top 3 mistakes I see producers make when using compression. Compressing without a reason. Find a reason to compress. Find something that you need to salute. Find something that you need compression for as a solution. Overcompressing. You rather want to be undercompressing than overcompressing. So if you're not sure what the compressor is doing and if it's needed, skip it. And using compression before volume balancing is also a no-go. Prioritize volume balancing always, and then you'll find that probably you don't need that much compression. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button so that you don't miss anything, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.